Ukemaim panim lepanim, and like the reflection of a face in the water. Zehu mibichinas mayim asher ma'al rakia. This refers to the water that's beyond the firmament. And so you have the water beyond the firmament, the water below the firmament. So you have these waters face those waters. It's the concept of uniting Atik and Zeranpin. Vayikra daf tesvav be'inyin yashar yechazu fanemo. That's brought in that you will see his countenance straightforward. So it's a connection of uniting the countenances. Vainu alidei korban, and this is through korban, through the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You can rectify the Bechinas Kodesh to atone for the sin. L'chein alidei zen nimshach gam kein liv ha'adam ha'elyon shalakisei la'adam ha'makriv ha'korban chulu. So too this draws down the heart of the supernal man that's upon the throne to the man below who's bringing the korban. So because you have the chayos or nosos akise, and the animals that you bring as a korban or nosos akise, they affect and draw down or lift upwards the throne of glory. For Yishlomar, we can further say that the korban itself is the concept of supernal unity. That idea is that the kindnesses sweeten the strictnesses. That the effect is that it causes revelation that it should be that below should be like above. And this causes to have the dwelling place in the lowest realm. Like Parshas Vayikra, like the Bechai writes, that korban is from the language of closeness, for the closeness of Hashem to us. Parshas Vayiga shel pasuk Yehine Malachim Noadu Avru Yachtav, that it brings in Parshas Vayigash on the verse, as Zohar says, that the kings gathered together and went past together. Misavrin marididinin, that through this misavrin, and through this the what does it mean? Avru yachtav, that you wipe away the masters of judgment. The malachim that were noadu, the gathered kings get wiped away together. Because the kindnesses are sweetening the strictnesses. And when the strictnesses are sweetened, then the masters of judgment cannot grasp on. And therefore also through this the sins are atoned for. Because to draw this down, the kindnesses should sweeten the strictnesses. Nimshach mebechinas v'notzar chesed. This is drawn down from Mazel v'notzar osios ratzon, which is the same letters as ratzon. So the v'notzar corresponds with chesed of keser, and it's the letters of ratzon u'shumei malak all apagamin that fills all of the blemishes. V'dugma l'davar yuvan al piyam mevor b'zohar rish b'sof parshas emor daf kuf hey sof amad alef amad beis. So that's why this also atones for sin when you sweeten the strictnesses, because you're drawing down from ratzon, from notzar. And this is with, you can also understand why wisdom and nevuah did not find the proper correction for the sinner, like we said before, Sivav, Ki Torah, only Torah said so, Vahinu Ki Kol Anavim Nisnabu B'Ko, because all the prophets had the prophecy with the word Ko, Ko Amar Hashem, Shias Paklad, Yeshena Me'ira, that like this, you have a likeness and not the actual thing, so it's like a reflection, a reflective surface, and not a window, a clear glass, Shena Me'ira, or a magnifying glass. It doesn't shine, She Malchus, that refers to Malchus, and with just this aspect of Malchus, you do not have yet the sweetening of the strictnesses. Therefore, you do not yet have a correction for the sinner. So too, with the wisdom is the wisdom of Shlomo, which is called the lower wisdom. Bechinas Malchus, the concept of Malchus, Bechinas Zu Gamkin Gadol Avon Hachota, the sin of the sinner is great. Shemorid b'Malchus, so that you have a rebellion against the king. The Malchus Shemaim, Malchus Shlomo. V'gam bechinas Zu Pogem Achet b'Yoser. Also in this aspect, the sin has a greater causes a greater blemish. Al derech lepesach she'am malchus chatas rovitz, like the idea of to the entrance, which is malchus, that's where the sin crouches. That's where it has an effect. Val Torah shenitna al yedei Moshe, but the Torah that's given through Moshe shenisna bebezeh, that he had his nevuah with the word zeh, like we brought in the beginning of the Mamar, Shuas Pakladia Me'ira, that it's the Nichudei law, it corresponds with the shining glass, Shu Tiferes, which is not Malchus but Tiferes, it's called the middle pole that goes from end to end, and through it, and in it is drawn the unity, Shubisu Magvuros, which is the sweetening of the strictnesses, and this is the idea that it passes through from one end to the other. So through this you have fixing for the sinner, a correction for the sinner, lavi korban, to bring a korban, and through this you can have a sweetening of the strictnesses. Because the kings that gather together. So perhaps that's also a hint to the Malachim of Tohu. And Avrudat Yachtav is the sweetening of them. Especially according to what it says in Pardes, that the glass that shines is also in Malchus. Not like we're saying here that it's in Tiferes. Only this refers to how Tiferes shines into it. As Nikra Malchus Gam Kines Paklaria Meira, then Malchus is also called the glass, the shining glass. Ukishat Mistalek Mimena Nikra Malchus Aspaklaria She'ena Meira. And when the Tiferes goes upwards, away from it, then Malchus is called the glass that doesn't shine. So the prophets that had their nevuah from this glass that doesn't shine, that refers to Malchus as it is on its own. But Moshe had his nevuah from the shining glass. This refers to the supernal unity of Tiferes and Malchus. Which is, like we said, the sweetening of the strictnesses. The Moshe's countenance is like the countenance of the sun. L'chein b'zeh ne'emar yavi korban. Therefore it says you should bring a korban. She al yidei zeh yehiyeh bisu magvoros. That through this you'll have the sweetening of the strictnesses b'chasadim with the kindnesses v'skaper lo chulu, and it will atone for him. Now in the Ksav Yad from the Tzemach Tzedek, Hagalach Zman, he added a note after time. Ukepshuto yesh lomar, that we could say, we can explain it according to the simple meaning. Ki hakorban usod hayichud, that the korban is the secret of the supernal unity. Liyosdira b'tachtonim, to have a dwelling place in this lowest world. V'kamushikas v'abachayirish Parshas Vayikra, like Binu Bechai says in Parshas Vayikra, ki korban lashin kiruv, that korban is from the language of closeness. V'ayidei yichud zeh nimshach shmiskaprim kol avonos, and through this supernal unity we draw down to atone for all the sins. V'kamushikas b'zorish Parshas Vayigash tafresh vav beis al pasuk hini hamalachim noadu avru yachtav chulu yain sham, like he brings from the Zohar that the kings gather together and are wiped away together. Ki yichud zeh inyanu gilui or ein sof, because this revelation, this unity is a revelation of the infinite light, v'ratzon ha'elyon, and in the supernal will, shumemala kol hapagamim, that fills all of the blemishes. V'dugma l'davar yuvan al piyam avor b'zor Parshas Emor daf kufei suf amud aleph amud beis. And the likeness to this, you can understand what's brought in the Zohar. V'zeh yuvan ma'asher chochma v'anavor lo matzah tikun lachut ekanal sivav ki Torah. And with this, you can understand why wisdom and nevuah didn't find a tikkun for the sinner. Only Torah. Vaynu ki kol hanavim nisnabu b'koshu atzbak l'ar yashein ha'meira. He's just chathering over what he said inside. That because all the Nevi'im only had the nevuah with ko, which is the glass that doesn't shine. She malchus, which is malchus. And with this idea, you do not yet have the supernal unity. Therefore, you do not yet have a correction for the sinner. So to the wisdom is the wisdom of Shlomo, which is called the lower wisdom, Bechinas Malchus, the concept of Malchus, Bechinazu, Gadol Ovanachot Shemored B'Malchus, and in the concept of Malchus, the sin is great that it has a rebellion to Malchus. But the Torah that's given through Moshe, that he had his nevuah with Zeh, Spakladia Ameira, which is the shining glass, Shutiferes Nimshach Malchus. So this light is drawn through Malchus. Al Derech Limor Zeh to say this is the thing. So here you finally have something new, that the Hadavar is Malchus. Zeh Hadavar is Zeh, which is the Tiferes, the shining glass that shines into Hadavar to Malchus. Im Kain Zeh when you Yichud Elyon, if so, that is the concept of the supernal unity. Zeh Hadavar Kini Amalachim Noadu, because the kings gathered together. Ubiprat especially according to what it says in Pardes about the shining glass, the gamas baklaria meira b'malchus, that also the shining glass is in malchus. It's only when tiferes shines into it, as nikresa malchus gam kinas baklaria meira, then malchus is also called the shining glass. And when malchus goes away from it, that's when malchus is called the glass that doesn't shine. So the prophets that had their nevuah from the glass that doesn't shine, that's the malchus on its own of Al-Moshe. But Moshe, who had his nevuah with the glass that shines, that's Tiferes together with Malchus Pnei Moshe Kipnei Chama. The countenance of Moshe is like the countenance of the sun. So that's why it says over here, you should bring a korban to draw down this supernal unity, and it'll have his atonement. That's the end of that Haggah. which is just really a chazar, or what it says inside the Mamar.